University of Toledo, and we have a special webinar tonight for Globe Mission Earth, and Svetlana, Tracy, and Jessica are going to give us their insights about careers and Globe. And actually, I'll just turn right over to Svetlana and Tracy, and when Jessica calls in, she'll join them.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. This is Svetlana Darche. I'm with WestEd, an educational research organization. We're partners with UC Berkeley in Mission Earth, and we're really excited to talk about the career aspect of Mission Earth and Globe implementation. So as you know, you see on the first slide, Tracy and Jessica will be joining us in just a little bit. I'm going to do a very quick overview on sort of the purpose of introducing the career dimension to Globe work. Then we're going to be talking about a wonderful career development tool called Green 360. There'll be a discussion about networking opportunities that Jessica will lead related to NASA and Globe scientists, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. Two quick slides about the purpose of the career dimension. So we really want to create an inclusive environment in which any student can feel like they could become a scientist. So introducing how the science and particularly the Globe protocols or any of the work that you're doing with Globe actually relates to careers enables students who may not get it at the beginning to actually feel like they can connect it to something that's meaningful to them. We want them to stay motivated. We want them to understand why they're studying, why they're even doing the Globe protocols. I think we assume that kids want to do Globe, and many kids do, but they don't always connect it. I think younger kids particularly are full of curiosity, and older kids sometimes get a little jaded and they need to understand why they're connected. We want to expose kids to lots of options that they may not have heard about. We have many kids in our area. We work with students in inner city communities. They've never crossed the San Francisco Bay, and they may never know about the kinds of careers that may be available to them. And to promote self-knowledge. So by doing Globe, they also understand what they're good at, what they're interested in, what kind of skills they excel in. And that kind of knowledge is really critical as they start to think about future careers for themselves. Couple more, we want them to build skills beyond science, not just science skills. We want them to learn teamwork and critical thinking and so forth. And building social capital, that's going to be a key theme for today. We want them to make connections with other adults that they can then use for networking opportunities and to really begin to feel like they're part of a community of practice we call within the STEM world. We want them to also develop navigational skills. Many of us think that it's easy to get to figure out how to get to the next stage, like the next grade, the next level of education. That's not easy for many students, particularly students who may be from immigrant families. And then of course we want to help build the STEM workforce as well. So I'm going to just share this quick slide related to what we call the work-based learning continuum. You can also call it the career development continuum. There's a whole series. We presented this last time, and so I'm not going to go through it in any detail, but there's essentially sort of 4 big stages of career development, starting with awareness, then exploration, and then it shifts to really doing the actual work of science, which we call career preparation, and then training, which is for when students are actually preparing for specific occupations. So we're not so much focused on training in Globe, but we are very much focused on not only having exposure to career options, but actually students doing real science and learning about what it means to be a scientist by actually doing the work. I'm going to give one last slide. This is a slide based on research that I did back in the mid-2000s. And the various purposes of work-based learning, which is essentially doing Globe within a career development setting, essentially. So we're going to be looking at, we sort of identified through the research 9 big purposes, and you'll see that developing social networks in the yellow sort of group of 3 is really a critical feature of actually doing real science within as a career development strategy. And also we'll talk a little bit about career knowledge and career exposure as we talk about Green 360. But there's lots of other purposes for developing, for doing Globe within the career context, and we can talk about that more another time. So today's focus is really going to be on career awareness, self-awareness, and exploration through an online platform called Green 360, and also on then connecting to scientists and building networks to support ongoing exploration learning and STEM identity development, which is really critical for students when they are actually thinking about whether to go into science or other technical fields as a career. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy, excuse me. Tracy, Ostrom, and Joanne Martins are going to talk about Green 360. And I'm going to stop sharing and you'll see another slide deck.
Thanks, Svetlana. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Great. We're here to give you a short presentation on the Green 360 Career Catalyst. And Joanne Martins is here. She is a co-creator of this online career resource. And so probably the best thing to do right now is to start out with what is the Green 360 Career Catalyst. And so I'm just going to go over a little bit about this Green 360 Career Catalyst, and a couple things I want to touch on. First of all, is that this program has been funded for the last 9 years by Pacific Gas and Electric, which is a municipality out here in California. It is a free online resource, and the idea behind creating this is to develop career literacy with our students, and specifically focusing on career awareness, career exploration, and career planning. The second thing I wanted to touch on is that this Green 360 Career Catalyst really is like a personal GPS for students, allowing them to make informed decisions, create career pathways, and really putting them in the driver's seat of their own career exploration. It is an online tool that can be done as a self-directed learner with students individually, and certainly there's a ton of enrichment activities for group learning in developing social awareness and fostering collaboration with our students. And lastly, I wanted to point out, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail about this, is the opportunity for educators who are not necessarily expertise in career development or have an expertise in connecting their classroom content to career awareness, but there's all sorts of, there's a guide in educator lessons to empower our students. So with that, I will pass it on to Joanne, who's going to dig deeper into the actual career catalyst. So Joanne?
Hi, everyone. Tracy's going to drive. I'm going to be the co-pilot, and we're going to be traveling on a freeway versus a country road because we have limited time. So again, this is just going to be a brief overview, and really hope this excites you enough to be able to jump right in, register, and check it out yourself. So the Career Catalyst is comprised of 2 learning centers. You can see number 1 is Know Yourself, and this is where all the learning activities are about self-awareness and career exploration. The second learning center is Connect with Others, and this is where learning activities that focus on career strategies. And of course, to be able to support our teachers and facilitators, there's lots of wonderful lesson plans to facilitate both the individual and the group learning activities. So welcome to Green 360. This is our home page, and a just brief overview around the the home page, and then we're going to go do the deeper dive into those learning centers. What you're going to see is on every page that introduces the learning centers is an essential question. So here on this home page is, what part will you play in making change? You'll see that there's a Get Started button, and this one just takes you directly, don't do it just yet, takes you directly to beginning our first learning center. If you scroll down, you'll see that you can also enter the learning centers of Know Yourself, describes what that center is about, Connect with Others, as well as the educator resources. And one more piece from a navigation, up at the top, you can also get to Know Yourself. Up at the top with Know Yourself, Connect with Others, and also we have a portfolio. And this is the individual or the student's personal locker, so to speak, where they store their work, and they can come back to it at any time, at any age, quite frankly. So let's go ahead and learn all about Know Yourself. So the Know Yourself is the foundational learning center, and that's because we take an inside-out approach to getting to know you. So in this Know Yourself, what this learning center is about is it poses the fundamental question of who am I? And the learning activities lead students through an inquiry about themselves, careers, and the world of work. And in so doing, they discover their interests, what they care about, and their best fit careers. And once they've got that language, that knowledge about themselves, they learn how to communicate who they are and how they want to make a difference. So let's take a look and see how what's the student's journey for doing just that. So again, the presenting question is who am I? And then the 4 areas that the students will be working with is these 4 learning activities. So question number 1 is discover yourself. What are my interests? Second one is what do I care about? And that area is in connect to your world. The third area is what careers best fit me. And there is an opportunity for students to go through the career profiles and then make a statement. So let me just, so we're going to briefly, as you can see, their journey is going to be through those areas. So are you ready to explore a few of those areas?
Yes.
Perfect, great. Okay, so discover yourself begins with them discovering what their interests are. And many of you may be very familiar with the John Holland's Interest Profiler. Actually, many resources use this as their self-assessment. What you'll find here is that we enhance the assessment so students by students using their interest results to describe their interest and what their interest tells them about who they are. So the interest profiler is made up of 60 questions. It can be completed within, 5 to 8 minutes. And Tracy, if up on the top, you'll click on here on results. Thanks. So after completing these 60 questions, this is their students' results. They're presented with their top 3 interests, of which there are 6 interest categories. And scrolling down, they learn about what does it mean to be investigative, social, and realistic. So in this case, their number 1 interest is investigative. There's a brief description of what investigative people's interests are like. So they're considered thinkers. They like to work with scientific theories and math. They like to observe and research. And then what you'll see under each one of these categories is a category that speaks to I am. These are the characteristics of that interest. And I can, the skills around what I can do. What I like to do is that motivation, those preferences. And they also relate to many of the hobbies that students may find themselves interested in. So scrolling down, you'll see this very same thing for each one of the top 3 interests. And what the student does in this activity is they click the ones that best describe them. So going up to then the next up to the top, with this new knowledge and information, they create these interest sentences, okay? So with those interest sentences, they are now composing these, the combination of their top 3 interests that says, so I am investigative and I like to help others. So from their results, they create their own sentences that describe I am, which is a combination of their top 3 interests, not just specific to one, because we all know that careers, jobs, occupations, whatever you want to call them, it's really best fit when the student, when the interest areas are not just one-dimensional, but is very inclusive in the top 3. Okay, so let's move into the connect to your world. And the presenting question is, what do I care about? Now, this is another unique element of the Career Catalyst in that it's developing a broader view of the student's future, which is about our world. And so this activity introduces the challenges and the opportunities that we all face and how the world of work is addressing them. Many careers connect to the environmental challenges that our planet faces. And so we've presented the challenges in these 10 challenge categories. And what we all know is that the secret to satisfying a career is to combine your interests in the things that you like to do with the issues you care about. So what the students does in this activity, they have a brief introduction to each one of these 10 challenges, and they select, what are the ones do you most care about? Because what we do is we combine what you're interested in and what you care about. So that's a little bit about our Connect to Your World. And then we'll just move to the career profiles. And this is the question, what careers best fit me? Now, this is where magic happens in the Career Catalyst, because this is where the interest plus the challenges, meaning what am I interested in and what do I care about, equals or translates to career options. So utilizing the Department of Labor's jobs database, the careers that best match their interest profile and the environmental challenge they care about are presented in an in-depth research into selected careers, such as STEM careers. So in this activity, these are their top 3 interests. And then if you, we do it like, let's see, what's hot, what's not. So under this, scroll down, the careers that best fit those top 3 interests and what they care about, the challenges, they present the careers, and the student says, oh yeah, that sounds, I'm really interested in that, or no, I'm not really so interested in that one. And so the careers that they select are stored in the portfolio, and then they can do a deeper dive into each one of them where they gather information through the career profiles that's on the Department of Labor's jobs database. That we also streamlined and made it very easy for them to understand core knowledge, core skills, how much salary, what's the education preparation. So now you know what your interests are, and you've looked at the world and you said, wow, we are faced with some challenges, and these are the ones that I most care about, or that my community is focusing in. We then move into the next activities, which is the Changemakers Statement. So now you know who you are. The question is, how do I communicate who I am? And I can't tell you, this was the most wonderful discovery when we were developing this, because when students, now that they're armed with this expanded view of themselves and the world, and now the descriptive language, and most importantly, a new sense of confidence, students create this Changemaker statement, which is a powerful statement that answers the question, tell me about yourself. And these types of statements can be used for college applications, internships, job applications, and interviews. So take a look at, let's see, can you scroll down just a bit? I want to just see if take a look at example number 2. Tracy, if you click on just example number 2.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Do you guys see it?
No. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
This is an example of a Changemaker statement, having just completed these previous activities. When we do mock interviews at schools, students who come armed with this and prepared to speak about themselves, they are so far ahead of students that says, well, I'm not sure what I want to do. I don't even know, what I'm good at. So it's a powerful statement. If you'll click out of that one, and the opportunity then for once students create their statement is the Changemaker wall. So they can elect to post their Changemaker statement right here on the Changemaker wall. And here is an example. There are hundreds of students' Changemaker statements from all over the world, quite frankly, that have written their statements, broadcasting who they are, what they care about, and how they want to make a difference in the world. So, Tracy, if you'll go back to then, go back to the Changemaker statement if you can. Or, yeah, that's fine.
I'll get there.
Okay. Just one thing I want to call out is if you take a look at connect to your world, for example, or the Changemaker. Well, go to connect to your world if you don't mind. Perfect. So at the end of a selected group of activities, if you'll scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a Let's Reflect. And this is where students do reflective writing in a journal entry. So you'll see this little, hey, I'm learning something. What did you learn in these activities? And they capture it in their journal, which is in their portfolio. All right, so now that you know yourself, you're armed with this great information about who I am, what I care about, and some possible careers that you're most interested in. Then we move into connecting with others. So this is where the classroom meets the world of work. And when the students can take action in the world based on their emerging new sense of self and purpose. So here they build relationships and they engage in career conversations to learn more about their education and career choices. So clicking on Connect with Yourselves will give you entry into the overview page of Connect with Others with the presenting question of how do I communicate with and learn from others? That's the sole purpose for connecting with others, is to build these relationships and learn with them. So this Learning Center, as you'll scroll down, has 3 playbook activities. Activity number 1 is a career talk. And this is where we guide students to help them have informal discussions with an adult, like a parent, and really encourage students to begin this conversation early. And it provides guidance on how to do that. Now, what's very unique, this is a very unique approach, an example of putting students in the driver's seat, because we focus on the student initiating these career conversations with an adult, rather than a parent or a counselor leading the conversation. They're meant to start as early as 8th grade. Imagine an 8th grader having the conversation with their parent about, you know, here are some things that I'm interested in, and here's the school that has these subject matters. I would be interested in these types of classes. And so it's quite powerful to begin these conversations, and how great it would be for students to initiate this with their guardian or their parent or an adult. What you'll see in most programs is how to guide parents or teachers or counselors to have those conversations. Again, we put the students in the driver's seat and provide them with a guide to how to facilitate that discussion. A second activity is how you build your network. And Tracy's going to go with a deeper dive on this, but basically having a network is about learning from others. And so identifying other people that you could connect with to gather some information. I just want to say one thing about what's powerful about this activity is the students begin to build their network in the classroom, because they will all begin to learn about what each other's interests are and what they care about, and they have common language and now common understanding from each other. And so they can say, hey, do you know anybody that's interested in this? And vice versa. So you can actually start building your network, which becomes your level 1 network people. So again, we provide them for why, what's the benefit of it, and how to do it. And then activity 3 is now going to the process of a student-led conversation to gather information about their chosen career, the industry, their pathway, and gather some information about the individual's own professional experience. What this informational interview section does is it develops the critical career skills to identify and establish work-based learning opportunities, summer jobs, community service activities. And what we're hearing from teachers is how much they appreciate that we've empowered students to be able to uncover these opportunities, so it's not just left on the teacher to try to find these internship opportunities for 11th and 12th grade. So that is the connect with others. And if you were to click on each one of those, you would be able to do a deeper dive where you'll see the guided activity and also downloaded guides that students will read to take them through those activities. So those are the 2 learning activities. And now Tracy's going to share with you a little bit about the lesson connection around the educator's resource.
Thanks, Joanne. And I just wanted to mention that, you know, as an educator, I used Green 360 in my classroom with students, and I really was able to see the firsthand transformation of our students as they went from, I don't know what I want to do, but I just know I have to go to college, to being able to say, gee, I want to learn more about this. And the college that I'm choosing is going to help me get to that goal of learning more and creating a pathway for myself. So I really found it, you know, really a great transformation that I saw in our students. So, you know, I really truly believe of the opportunities we give them. And as an educator, I really didn't know how to navigate my way through this career connection with my classroom. And so the educator resources that we've created that are on the website really provide that guidance for us as teachers to be able to provide this information to our students in a way that's meaningful and sequential and makes sense to our students. So the first thing we've created is an educator guide, and I would say as an educator, start here with the guide, because it really lays out the Green 360 program in a way that, you know, we as teachers need it to be laid out for us for implementing in the classroom. The very first lesson here is getting started. It's like an introduction to the Career Catalyst, and so I highly recommend starting your classrooms out with this introductory lesson before they even get online. And then as they are in the Green 360 Career Catalyst, there's individual lessons that match each one of those learning centers that Joanne pointed out in activities. So there's the interest profiler, connect to your world, career profiles and changemaker statements. So each one is a step-by-step lesson for students, for teachers to implement with their students. We also have an optional enrichment activity lesson. If you don't want to go through the individual lessons per activity, you can have the kids complete the 4 activities and then do enrichment activities with your students after they've done this very first learning center completion, know yourself. On the second learning center, we have activities for each one of the, we have lessons for each one of the activities, and I'm just going to pull up an activity which is on building networks. And so here is an example of what this lesson looks like. And it has standards connected to them. It has the materials. It has the essential questions. There are different grade levels instructions, and you'll see all the different lessons are grade specific. In this one, we don't have build your network with 8th grade, but the other lessons do have 8th grade connections to them. And certainly if there's any handouts, all those handouts are also included in the lesson as well. They're all Microsoft Word documents. So the good news about that is that you can cut and paste as you need to for your classroom. So I just wanted to point out the lesson component of the Green 360 Career Catalyst. And right now we just want to wrap it up by giving you some highlights of this program, and I'll let Joanne do that, and then we'll wrap it up here.
So, and Jessica's also going to talk about some.
Yes, I will introduce her. Go ahead, Joanne.
All right. So all you have to remember is that it's fast, fun, flexible, and free. Did I mention again that it was free? So fast. So the Know Yourself Learning Center can be completed in one classroom session, usually as an individual self-directed approach. And then educators have the option to use the enrichment lessons for the use after students complete the entire Know Yourself Learning Center. Fun. Well, who doesn't like learning about themselves? Because we all know it's all about me. And what the Career Catalyst is also is that it's all about we, because students are learning about and from others. Now, I had a trip to Thailand, and there's a phrase that they use in Thailand, which is same, but different. So yes, we are all unique, and we share common interests and passions and career choices. And so the Career Catalyst and these lesson plans are really designed to connect the students with the teachers and the professionals and the communities, because we are all on the same common cause of really developing this emerging workforce. And then flexible, well, this resource is timeless. It's for anyone, including you. We've had most teachers take this and delighted that they found themselves that they were in the right career, or some others found that they said, oh wow, look at the different ways that I could transition into other careers. So it can be done any place, any time. You can use it throughout the school year, each semester. You can use it part of a school career day or career month, and a great connection that adds career relevance to your classroom. And yet again, I'm going to say it, free. All you have to do is register with your email address to use this comprehensive career readiness resource.
Great, thanks, Joanne. So this concludes our portion of the webinar, and I want to turn it over now to Jessica Taylor, a NASA scientist, who's going to share with you a little bit about her networking experiences at NASA, as well as some opportunities within the Globe website and Globe program for networking. So Jessica?
Thank you. I'm not going to share a screen or anything. I thought I might just have a dialogue here in conversation. As Tracy said, I'm Jessica Taylor. I am a research scientist at NASA Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. And the question about networking, I just think, is such a fascinating one, because I think many of us into our careers are aware how important networking is to getting us where we are today, right? And one of the things I often tell students when I'm doing a career talk is commenting just on that, and commenting how I didn't receive or get any job basically that I have ever had without knowing someone who either helped make the connection for me, shared that a job announcement was on the street, provided me insight into what we call cultural capital, right? Like how an organization works, the type of skills that an organization might desire. All of those things are really important. And whether it was people that I met by reviewing proposals, was how I got my first job in Virginia. I met someone at the College of William and Mary who happened to be leaving their position with the STEM Education Alliance, and suggested that I apply for it. And likewise, even getting to NASA was a series of knowing people who helped me get connected. And you know, even some really basic questions like, how would I even find a job announcement, right? I mean, it's hard to know where you even look for some of these job announcements unless they come across Facebook. It's hard for students to find them and think about those. So I really liked, Tracy had shared some of this information with me previously, and what I really liked was the idea of building your network by identifying not just networks that exist within school as a student, or even for me within my immediate work area, but that idea of hobbies, right? So I was a Latin dance instructor, and I taught Latin dance in my community in Tallahassee, and being able to meet other people with that hobby provided me with more opportunities, and that's how I wound up getting to the Florida Department of Education. In a slightly similar way, at NASA, I am involved in some of the programs that we have a lot of athletic programs. I myself am not super athletic, but I do Tai Chi. And one of the first things I did when I came to NASA Langley was I joined the Tai Chi club. And I have received so much support by members of that Tai Chi club about learning about NASA Langley, and even about learning about different job opportunities within NASA Langley. So I love the idea of thinking a little bit broader, outside of the box, so to speak. And one of the things Tracy mentioned that I wanted to talk just briefly about was the opportunities for me or somebody else from NASA to be able to speak with your students. We're happy to do that. We love doing virtual connections with classrooms, to use technology like this, like Zoom, connect with your students, and be able to talk a little bit about our careers, and even offer career guidance. If you're doing Green 360, we can talk specifically about some of these ideas, like such as networking, or just giving our own background, because it's, you know, sometimes different than just like you don't want to hear from your family all the time about some things. Sometimes it's helpful if someone outside of school says the same exact things that you as teachers are telling your students all of the time. So we're happy to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat box. If you're interested in trying to set up a connection, please feel free to contact me, and we'll be happy to try to figure that out. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Svetlana.
Okay. So I don't think I need to re-share the screen. Well, the screen is not sharing currently. Is that correct? Is the screen being shared right now?
No.
Okay, so I'll just wrap up. We'll have the PowerPoint available to all of you. The last couple of ideas that we were going to share with you, which is really focused on the career awareness piece, which is exactly what we've been talking about, for teachers to really think about the kinds of goals that they want to achieve as they're doing one of these exercises. So connecting it back to the actual work of doing GLOBE and making a connection with the Green 360 exercises or any other kind of career exploration tool, connecting that back to the work that they're actually doing with you in implementing protocols or doing science projects and so forth. Because I think sometimes the pieces can get disconnected, and we really want to be connecting the dots for the students all the time. So when we share the slides, we're at the end of our 45 minutes. So you'll see that there's a few more resources in the last couple of slides. All of our emails are also listed at the last slide, and there's some thoughts about how you can actually then think about even developing an assessment that will motivate students to really to be thoughtful about how they conduct an informational interview or do a job shadow or any of those kinds of career exploration activities that that we've been talking about as they interact with scientists and other STEM professionals. So I think that pretty much wraps it up, and I don't know if we have time for Q&A.
We do ask some questions here, I think. I had a question. How much class time would this take to develop?
The implementation of Green 360?
Yes, yeah.
That's a great question, Kevin. Joanne, do you mind if I, as an educator, my perspective on this is that I did it every other week with my students. You can easily do the Know Yourself Learning Center in a day and not revisit it with your kids. Just, do it and they'll get something out of it, no doubt about it. But I think to dive deeper in the sense of having students reflect, having that conversation with students, having them verbalize what they've learned or what they've found about their interest or their profiles, I think makes the experience so much richer. Certainly the other learning center with the connect with others, there's some outside work that they have to do when they actually do it, like for example, an informational interview, or when they have to figure out what their network map is, or when they actually have to have a talk with an adult. Those can happen do happen outside of the classroom. So it's all about what Joanne said. It's flexible. It's all about what you feel the right connection with your students would be.
I like that you gave like the time, not doing it all at once, but they have it spaced out. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, and that's the idea of the lesson plans, is to provide some context to what they're doing online, not just doing a bunch of clicks, moving on, but why are they doing those clicks, and what are those clicks? By clicking this, how does that change the results of, let's say, the careers that pop up?
I just wanted to share that when I started to go through it myself, something that I have found almost difficult at NASA is that I am often asked by leadership, what do I want my job to be? Where do I see myself in 5 years? It's a very, very common thing within NASA. The first time I ever met the administrator, he asked me what he could do to help me in my job and what I saw as my next step. And honestly, when I started at NASA, I wasn't prepared to be given such a voice in my own career future. And so even that the guidance of sort of like the recipe of how to describe yourself, I thought was a really helpful tool to say, you know, here are my skills, here are my areas of interest, and I would like to do X. Like that was really, really helpful. So I'll probably be passing this on to my interns as well, because we all struggle with this.
Well, that's pretty special. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me what I want to do.
Well,
NASA is pretty cool to work for, I'm not going to lie.
What's even more challenging is when they ask you to tell you about yourself and you don't know what to say, right?
Yeah, it's basically it's a on-the-spot interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, that could be overwhelming, but also a great opportunity.
And I think that there are a lot of young people who may be very reserved and don't even know how to talk about themselves, right? So particularly for those students for whom that doesn't come naturally, it's really great opportunity for them to practice from a very early age. Actually, this can be done all the way down, right, Janet? I mean, Joanne, with younger students as well, to begin having them think about who they are and what they enjoy. Just being able to express that, I think, is really a powerful skill at a very early age, especially for reserved children.
I was going to say that's what I like about Tracy's suggestion as her approach for a teacher to do every other week, because I think that it does take a bit of time for many students and many of us individually to be able to feel comfortable talking about ourselves, and just even having those moments to be reflective of who we are.
Thank you, Jessica, for sharing that. Did we tell you that you're amazing? We all think you are like a star. Yes, and I'm sure all students and teachers would appreciate hearing from you. You are an amazing professional. And this resource is really a gift to all. I tried it and myself, and it's very accurate and it's easy to follow. It's free, so it's basically a gift to all of us. Thank you. And fantastic presentation. Thank you all.
So are there other questions for the presenters? So we'll do a dramatic pause.
Well, I'm a part of the Globe Mission Earth program. So if there's anybody that has any questions, it's easy to get a hold of me through Janet or Kevin. And I'm happy to go over specifically anything questions you might have. And certainly Joanne is I can always corral her to help us out too. So feel free to, if you have questions or problems later on, give me an email.
So Melody posted in the chat box, can teachers see student results?
No, it goes with, certainly there's opportunities for within the program for students can print out what's in their portfolio and turn it in, so to speak, to the teachers. But it's not a course at this point in time for teachers to check individual results.
And I just want to add that that portfolio, again, is an individual private space. It's really quite exciting when you have students do this perhaps twice a year, beginning of the year, and then take the interest profiler again at the end of their first year, begin the next semester, because what they will discover is their interests might slightly change. They'll be able to edit their Changemakers Statement. So we really invite students to use that portfolio, and certainly where they put their guide and interview questions and those kinds of things. What we're seeing in some schools that like the academies is if a academy class begins in 10th grade, well, the 11th grade teacher in the academies will use the Career Catalyst again to have students do two things. One is recognize that you continue to get new knowledge about yourself and the relevance of what their subject matter is and how that translates to the different types of careers that students would be developing. So really encourage teachers and students to come back frequently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's also several of the teachers on tonight have students from like 6th through 8th grade, and to have students do it before they go into high school may be worthwhile, and then that may determine what types of courses they take in high school.
Exactly.
Or even choose the high school if they do have that choice.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to comment that in Virginia, 7th graders are required to have a career and academic plan.
Oh, okay.
But they probably have not also had this deep retrospective experience and kind of thought about how would they articulate it beyond that. So this could be very interesting within Virginia settings because they've already begun to think about what sort of coursework they would take in the high school setting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so 7th and 8th graders in Toledo Public Schools are taking a career intro class. Well, that's really interesting. All right, well, we should probably wrap up for tonight. I do have a few things I want to, like announcements. Let's see, let me share my screen. And all right, is it sharing right? So I should have a PowerPoint showing.
Not yet.
How about now?
Yes.
Yes? All right, good. So the virtual science symposia for Globe projects are due March 1st. So I want to make sure you're aware of that. Rubrics are online, so you can check to see what, you know, how the projects will be rated. Also, the regional science symposia for Globe, we have dates for all of them now, and you can see them there. Let's see, Midwest, May 18th and 19th at Wayne State. Pacific at NASA Ames, the same days. So there's a lot of overlap this year on the days of the symposia. All right, so this is important here. And we got an email from Globe today. Hopefully you all got it. If you want funding to go to the regional symposia, you and your students, you need to apply by February 1st. And there was a link. And so the link's on this PowerPoint slide. You need to do this if you're a teacher and you want to go, have funding for the regional science symposia. It's not too much. And of course, the Globe annual meeting is going to be in Ireland. Okay, lastly, Friday, I saw the discussion on the discussion board of, I think it was only Laura who may be able to attend on Friday, have her students call in. Is that something we still want to do? It'd be 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Western time. Does that sound good? Our presenters, would you want to do a little show? And it doesn't have to, usually we shorten the student part, brief introduction. Jessica, I think if you talk about yourself is always good. And if you want to do that, I think that'd be great. Okay, I see thumbs up.
This upcoming Friday at 1 p.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, so the student session would be similar to this, but it would be basically introducing the students to the Green 360 website, and then also, and having Jessica talk about her career. I'm not sure what you're saying, Laura, in the chat box about getting a sub. So, okay. All right. Well, we'll shoot from Friday then at 1 o'clock, and be great to have the students connect with the team. All right. Well, thanks, Svetlana, Tracy, and Jessica, and